Recognize that your mental health is so important. If you don't, then I promise you'll be so distorted. Stiffened by your thoughts, that's a mental rigor mortis. I'm on a hard mission and it won't be aborted. Assorted memories will seem to be your remedy, but in your darkest hour form into your enemies. Trust your gut, judge people off their energy. Cut them off quick and fast, they are limiting your room to grow.
You're listening to the Expect Effect podcast, where the concept of self-care is our primary focus. Consider this a judgment-free zone, an acknowledgement of feeling the birth of every great idea within you. This is your weekly dose of me time, and I'm your host. It's just Nikia. So sit back, relax, and unwind as we uncover ways together to truly expect better, do better, and believe better. Welcome back. To those of you who are new to the show, welcome for a first-time introduction. I've been putting a lot of thought into different ways I want to make this show better, and I know I say that every single week, but every single week I want you to understand how committed I am to spreading a message of positivity, of love, of peace, but most importantly, care of self. Nobody's got your back like you do. I know you hear the Allstate commercials, you're in good hands. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. You have seen Flo from Progressive. Well, let me tell you, I ride for myself as hard as Flo rides for Progressive. I know with me, I'm in good hands like Allstate. I don't need a neighbor, okay? You don't even have to tell me happy birthday. In the words of Medea, I will knock on the door, run to the other side, and say, thank me, I shouldn't have. But that's the kind of love you need to have for yourself. But that love is a practice, and it's hard. And as much as I spend time trying to really go over the topics and what I'm going to present and what I'm going to give to you and how I'm going to give it to you, I realized that one of the most important things I could give in any aspect is some real personality to it. I do share a lot of my past stories, but I don't think I give much insight into my current life, how I'm applying these practices or what it might look like for me. And obviously what I'm going to share is going to be a condensed version, but I really do want to connect with you guys on a level that lets you know I practice what I preach. And I'm also very committed to helping you do the same thing. So right now we're introducing the weekly wind down segment. I want you to take a seat in my living room. The weekly wind down is about how we're putting past topics into practice, but also how we're doing. So, how are you? If no one else has asked, I'm asking, how are you? Where are we struggling? Where are we succeeding? What emotions are we feeling? And how recharged are we? Personally, I'm worn the fuck out, y'all. I'm tired. Tired as I, and she is me and me is her, and we are all one, and we are all exhausted, but persevering. I'm determined to make better of my life. I can't express how much I feel like I'm in a place where I cannot stop. There's something nudging at me, and as you all know, I'm a firm believer, strong in my faith, and I just feel like there has really been something pushing me to go further. There's something in me that absolutely cannot quit, and I refer to that as grace and the power of the Holy Spirit. Refer to it as what you will, but know that I am coming for your necks. I'm staying on top of it in every way possible. I'm going to be on multiple platforms and multiple places. One thing that I am having to try and balance is being so many places at one time and doing so many different things. I did have my first published article this week, which I thought was amazing as an adult to push out a published article, first time freelance writing. Shout out to Black Label. Follow them on Instagram. You can check my IG page for their handle at It's Just Nikia. Really excited about that. And also my partnership with Made It With No Deal Productions at Made It With No Deal on Instagram as their digital media coordinator is fantastic. Growing the brand of It's Just Nikia is an amazing experience while trying to feed into this project also. But baby, I still work a 9 to 5. Uncle Sam is still running me for my money. And something has got to give. Something's got to change. I've also got some things in the works on the back end that are just also thrilling. So I'm trying to constantly keep an eye on that which excites me, that which drives me, that which thrills me. And I'm trying to tell myself that we're going to put less of a focus and less on an emphasis on what doesn't and the things that are taking away. And I'm going to look to find significance in every moment. If I don't want it coming back to me multiplied, then I'm not putting it out. I'm working to put out good energy no matter what, and really just feed into myself and focus in and hone in on what I may need in the moment. But I'm y'all, it's a practice. I'm struggling. I feel like recently I haven't done well, but I know with every new venture you have to learn, right? It's gonna be, I think that's the thing some people are so scared to do, is take steps. Right? When I talked about reclaiming my time and really owning your field, I decided to take those messages and those aspects and figure out how I could hone into my team and my community at work, how I could be more diligent in my nose with those around me, becoming a better manager, becoming determined and adamant in my organizational structure. Like if I say I'm going to do something, then I'm really going to do it by the end of the day. And that also is teaching me what to and what to not take on. So there are so many different ways I think that you're able to engage with yourself by simply taking it step by step. Don't be afraid of the process, and know more often than not you're gonna have to start over, right? It's not pretty, but we're constantly growing and evolving. So it would be absolutely ridiculous, I think, to assume that we could really coast on this steady plane without having to encounter things that make us uncomfortable, or better yet, things we haven't seen, things we don't really know about, right? Like I think it's a very safe assessment to say, like, there are ways in which we would really need to figure it out for ourselves and try to keep going in those moments. So I am constantly trying to have appreciation for the present moment, to take as much as I can from the present moment, but remember what I'm doing it for. And know that I am my biggest cheerleader. So I want you to be your biggest cheerleader. DM us at The Expect Effect Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, or shoot me an email at theexpecteffect@gmail.com. That's right, that's it, theexpecteffect@gmail.com. You can shoot me an email, but definitely let me know how it's going. Let me know how it's been. Let me know how it isn't. Let me know some things you're missing, and feel free to be open in that space. So this week, our topic: clinging to comfort. I once heard someone say everything we want is on the other side of fear. And when it comes to breaking generational curses or doing better in certain situations or circumstances, I should say in spite of certain situations or circumstances that have been presented to us in life, I think we often really cower away. And I think we try to more or less restructure or only go off of who we are based on who we want to be. And I think there is a poor embrace of who we are, really and truly at our core. It comes from how we grew up. It comes from the experiences we've had. And I think a lot of times we don't want to address that pain in a healthy way. But I think if we're able to expose the issue, restructure, and then make a commitment to doing better, we'll have a true opportunity to stop clinging to comfort, to stop clinging to what we know, to stop clinging to the vices that we think bring us peace but don't. I've said it multiple times. I thought drinking was the answer. It was not, and it was costing me a pretty penny. Whatever it is you throw yourself into, if that's your partner, if that's your job, if that's the gym, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself. Episode 2, by the way. Shameless plug. You already knew what it was. But honestly, if we're able to really address every area of ourselves, and I mean those ugly, nasty parts, and repackage them, expose it, face it, head on, look at it, restructure it, and make a commitment. The entire plot of It Too, for those of you who haven't seen it, don't. That's why I'm giving the spoiler, because I don't care. But there was one important message in that movie that I'm going to pull in for this episode. But it was at the end of the movie, the way they defeated it was by calling it a clown, by saying he was nothing, by calling out his insecurities, by attacking everything about him that he had built up this image of himself. They tore it all down, right? They completely reconstructed it. And they made it something else. They exposed it, they restructured it, and then they made a commitment. They made a pact at the end of the movie. They were like, look, we're gonna never again have this issue. We're never again going to allow something to beat us down, to tackle our self-esteem, to kill kids, throw them down sewages. They was really coming up. But jokes aside, they literally took the class. I sat in this movie for 3.5 hours, y'all. I was hungry. It was a late night showing. They didn't even have food on the menu, really, just concession items and beer. And I watched this to see that in the end, ultimately, their confidence, their affirmations, and their belief in self is what allowed them to defeat it. They exposed him. They said, look, sir, you're just a clown. You're fake. You're bogus. You're not scary. We don't think anything of you. Like he hadn't been playing them for all these years. But go off. It worked. It worked. And I want you to understand that in every area of your life, you can expose it, restructure it, and make a commitment. So let's really break it down. Exposing it. Exposing every area of your life as you know it in the present moment is, again, just acknowledgement. And that leads to aspirations achieved in the future. The things that worry you, those thoughts that scare you, that anger you've been holding on to, that resentment you've buried, the anguish you've suppressed, that hurt you never shared with anyone because it didn't truly seem like the situation would ever really change. You just felt like it wasn't even worth saying something about. You just held on to it. Listen, if you don't relinquish your baggage, the anchors that weigh us down, we're never going to truly be free to pursue all that we were designed to achieve if we don't release what we're holding on to. Those bags, baby, I know they're heavy. That anchor is exhausting. But anything you refuse to deal with will be the very thing that brings you to your knees. I choose to remain transparent on this platform because I can't afford to hide things that previously tried to break me. Do you hear me? If I stay in my head, then I'll go right back to the same vices I said I wouldn't. I'll go right back to the same vices I said wouldn't claim me. If I never assess my trauma, then ultimately life will ensure something else happens to me, right? I'm going to keep running out of pocket. I'm going to keep running into that same thing. Life will ensure we always have battles to fight. Trust me. But do yourself a favor and eliminate the wasted that says, this is just how I am. I can't forgive. I'll never be able to relax. I couldn't possibly change that. It isn't for me. Healing? Nah, don't know her. Creating something that outlasts you involves ensuring you overcome what those before you couldn't. And I know that's heavy. I know it is. But it's going to be what it's going to be. It is what it is. And the struggle is a reality we all know in some way. Even though we face different issues, we all got to struggle. And that being said, there's no room for excuses. Tackle your fears, address your issues, sit across from your demons, and get acquainted with your peace. Restructuring your trauma is something I've discussed in a previous episode, but I really want to emphasize that restructuring isn't repacking your issues post-exposure. It isn't saying, okay, I see it and I know what it is, but I can't deal with it, so I'm just gonna throw this over here. Out of sight, out of mind, there, I dealt with it. No. Reclaiming my time. I think not. Restructuring is recovery. It's going to be therapy if that's what you need. It involves growth and removes anything that doesn't benefit the agenda. Restructuring says, I want to be the best version of me. Restructuring, again, taking it all the way back to the very beginning. It says, I love myself enough to cherish who I am, but I know I need to get better. I know there's work I need to do. I know I need to be faithful. I know I've got to show up for my kids. I know I got to show up for my job. I know. So I'm going to do, not just know. Knowledge misapplied is just basic. It's just information that you have. Knowledge is only truly knowledge when applied. So don't just say you know, actually do something about it. Expose it, get acquainted with your peace, restructure it, recover, get to the best version of yourself. Finally, upon exposure and reconstruction comes the really, really, really hard part: keeping it up. You have to now commit, and I mean really commit. You gotta commit like Taraji and Jody. You gotta be just like Yvette. You gotta go hard. You gotta be crying in the car in the rain. You gotta have Snoop Dogg trying to rape you in front of your son. You gotta be going through it. And to those of you who don't understand the reference, it is still Black History Month at the close of this episode, and that reference to the movie Baby Boy is so valid and so beautiful for so many reasons. And to those of you who haven't seen it, I implore you to watch it. Stellar cast, horrible film in reality, actually a very terrible movie, but so funny, but also so engaging, and so many gems. We're talking Tyrese, we're talking Taraji, we're talking Snoop Dogg. Who else was there? I feel like doesn't matter. Oh, Gabrielle Union was there. Yes, she was. But upon exposure and reconstruction, you really, really have to commit. You have to keep it up. Commit to better. Commit to your dreams. Commit to your passions. Commit to loving yourself. Commit to never again letting it be like it used to be. Own your failures as strongly as you own your successes, and know that you are capable of exceeding the world's expectations. You can do better. You can expect better. You can believe better. You can see it for yourself and for generations to come. You can stop clinging to comfort by exposing it, by restructuring it, by committing to it. This week, we're stepping into full effect with none. You know what? I'm really going to let her introduce herself. Yourself? What is this? You know what? It's fine. I've got it together. Let's run it back. Put that thing down, flip it, reverse it. Another episode plug featuring JP the Rapper. But really, we're stepping into full effect with this week with a woman who inspires me, who encourages me, who drives me, who has prayed for me, who has covered me, who has shared her advice with me, who has shared her son with us here on this platform. I actually used to work with her son. That's going to be a hint. And to those of you who have actually listened to some of the past episodes, think 15th Ave, okay? Think 806, and think one of the best and by far the hottest DJs. When he really blows up, I want you guys to know you heard it here first. He's the one. And this is his mother coming here to have this beautiful, amazing discussion with us about breaking free from clinging to comfort, about being able to expose, restructure, and commit to your process in a way like never before. I promise you there is so much wisdom in this message, so much clarity you're about to gain, but I want you to also understand there's a level of transparency every guest has on this show that I really need you guys to know, like how hard it can be for some people to go the places they go with me and be as open as they are. You have no idea how nervous some people are to come on and to talk and to just have a conversation. So really plug in, engage. I promise this experience will be so worth it because we work to keep it so authentic. So sit back right after this nice little beat that I will forever remind you that I so humbly put together myself on iPad Garage Band. We're going to step into full effect. We're back right after this.
Good evening. This is V. Montanez. How are you doing?
Man, I love the way you say your name, and I really wish that I took more time to learn Spanish. Every day I say this as if I'm going to have the opportunity to learn tomorrow, but really, I need to get into it. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Just got home from work, so I'm a little
Y'all know about it.
tired.
We are tired. Do you hear me? Just taxes, bills, but it's okay. This week I'm so really so thrilled to have you here. As I was telling listeners before, you are Rose Mom, one of my favorite people, one of the most inspirational people I know, but also one of the hardest working people I know. You're an entrepreneur. You have managed or you've put together events. You are active in your church and your community. More or less, you're also an active grandmother, which I see on Facebook quite frequently.
Yes.
You're active. I mean, you are literally engaged, plugged into your family, plugged into your businesses, plugged into your passions, but also plugged into obviously things it appears you need to do for yourself. So can you tell me a little bit more about what you do day to day or what your day to day looks like?
It varies. Some days I'm an early riser and some days very late, but I've always been a night owl. Um, I start my day off here. I started a 75-day challenge on January 6th. So at 51, I decided that I needed to get better for myself physically, mentally. And so what I do is I do a 2-mile walk a day plus 45 minutes indoor exercise, which can be just a variation of different things. And a few other things like read 10 pages in a self-help book, self-development, drink a gallon of water, follow a healthy diet. And that's some of the things that I make sure that I do every day. And I've noticed that I'm getting stronger, healthier, and I feel better, can sleep better. And it's a really awesome program. And then I um, work at a shake shop, which I'm trying to work on getting one of my own. I work another job where I take care of an elderly lady. She's 90 years old. I take care of my grandsons. Like you said, do church, go to church, lots and lots of things.
Too much, like too hard to handle.
Yes, but hey, at least I can do it. I'm still able to do all that. And so I'm really, really grateful and thankful to God that, you know, He wakes me up every day and every day I can do things that some people can't do. And I'm just very, very grateful for that.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with you there. One thing I love is that you provided a breakdown of what your daily routine looks like in this 75-day challenge. What have you learned specifically from pouring into yourself in that way? Doing a 2-mile walk, the 45 minutes indoors, reading the 10 pages of a self-help and self-improvement, making sure that you're eating healthy. What have you learned in applying energy to yourself, and do you feel like that's also being output to those around you?
I feel discipline. Discipline is a big thing. To discipline yourself to do the things that you said you were going to do. I mean, because there was days I'd get up and I'd say, I have to do this, I have to do that, and I'd make a list, but I wouldn't discipline myself to do it. I would just, and you make a list, you say you're going to do it, you run around with your head cut off, and at the end of the day, you haven't done anything. So it's taught me
Right, like
discipline.
very start and stop on the dream.
Yes, it's like I would get sidetracked, you know, and now I've done my 2-mile walk at a hospital. I've done it at a casino. I've done it,
You did it at a casino? This is legendary.
I
What?
went to a,
I
I,
cannot think I would be at a casino and be like, I need to get my 2-mile walk in.
I've done it at a play. I've gone to a play and I've missed the second half because I'm like, I got to get out there before it gets dark.
See, those actors work hard, but I understand. You have to be, that's how committed to yourself you have to be. I love this.
And it's change. It's a positive change. It helps you. It not only motivates, I mean, you as a person, it motivates your family, your friends. People start noticing and reaching out to you and asking you, you know, and I've offered to help people, hey, I'm going to be so and so walking. Come out here and join me. Trying to help people get healthier and do it as a team, do it as a family. Um, my husband, I've been married 26 years. My husband has never looked at a gym, gone to a gym, thought about a gym, exercise, anything of that, anything like that. And the day before yesterday, he calls me. He's a truck driver. He calls me, and I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Oh, I just went for a walk." I said, "A
Oh
what?
man.
You went for a what?" He said, "A walk." And I'm like, "Wow." Because he's
Impact.
diabetic. He's diabetic.
Oh
And so
man.
I'm like, that that makes me feel
That's
good
huge.
because, I'm like, oh my gosh.
But
So,
being able to put that output into your, like, in yourself and watching it feed off of the people around you, to be the natural light and encouraging person that you are, when you started pouring into yourself and really being committed to seeing your own process and well-being change, you found it happen for other people also. And I think that's amazing. I think that's incredible. But in the steps to getting here, talk to me a little bit about, as transparent as you so choose to be, what brought you here. Talk to me about ways you had to expose some of the things that could have been hindering you, hurting you, how you had to restructure those things and decide what version of your life you were truly going to live, not being held down by those demons. Um, and now talk to me, like, what's a driving force that keeps you committed to the process?
family. I'm big on family. It's not always perfect. We have our issues, we have our problems, we bicker, but we're family. And I want to be there for my family, um, physically, mentally. You know, my childhood wasn't perfect by all means. I mean, anything that you can imagine happened in my childhood, from abuse, alcoholism, um, just different things like that. My kids' childhood was not perfect because their mother was not perfect. Because their mother,
That's a big thing to own, man. Like, I can't
you know, their mother had
express, like,
no,
as a young person, to hear that, like, to know, like, there, to say, like, oh, my like, I'm accountable as a parent also. That's powerful.
yes, because I only knew what I was taught, but I also knew that I didn't want to be who I was brought up by. But knowing that that's all I knew, it had to be up to me to change. And when I became a parent, I already knew I didn't want to be like that, but I didn't know how not to be like that. It took me years later. My kids were already grown. I thought it was too late because their childhood was not great. But it's not too late because you can still rebuild. You can still be there. You can still love. I mean, I love my kids, always have, would do anything for them. But their childhood could have been a lot better, a lot better if I had
I
known
f-
how to be better at that time.
that's such a testament, and I thank you so much for sharing that. I know it can not be the easiest thing to share things like that, but I appreciate you for being transparent with me in conjunction. I agree that you do what you're taught. I had to, like, life brought me down quickly, fortunately, to help me realize, however, that I could not replicate what I had seen, because it wouldn't be
Exactly.
any more effective for me than it was for them. So it was like, okay, then we have to do something different. And I love what you said, to say it was up to me to change, and that it took years. Like, I think some people are so uncomfortable with this idea of process, of patience, of time, but it can and will take that. And it's not necessarily going to take years for everybody, but it will take some time, and we can't expect instant gratification. And being comfortable with that process is what's really going to drive us to change. And I can't think of a better testament to say, like, I know and acknowledge where I was wronged, right? But I've let that go. I've also acknowledged where I was wrong, and I have accepted those faults, owned up to those things, restructured my trauma, restructured the pain I caused, and now I'm committed to doing better and seeing others around me do better. And that, to me, is the dopest thing. If there's one thing that you could tell everyone here, a piece of advice that you could leave them with, a truism, what would that be?
Grudges. Don't hold grudges. Don't hold grudges. Let it go. Forgive. Um, these past 6 months, my family has been through hell and high water. And trust me, there were times that I was going to lose it, that I was going to go back to the old me. But I can't do that because that's not who I am anymore. I'm not that person that I used to be. So I did a lot of praying. I did a lot of praying. But as soon as I let go and let God handle the situation, handle me, handle those around me, then it was fine. But so keep the faith, don't hold grudges, forgive, put it in God's hands, and keep praying, and it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right.
Man, thank you for that. The biggest thing I want to take away from that is that the world is always, always going to treat you away. And you cannot dictate your movements based on what the world gives you to work with. And that's so amazing to hear you say, I didn't resort back to the version of myself I worked so hard to pull away from. And I want everybody to hear that. Do not resort back to the version of yourself you worked so hard to pull away from. Whatever it is that keeps you going, whatever it is that you drive to, no, we pray this way, but whatever it is that you do, whatever it is that keeps you going, don't dip back into your vices. You deserve better. You owe it to yourself to do better. Doesn't matter the background you've had in life. I don't care if you used to be a stripper. I don't care if you're doing dirty right now. There is still an opportunity to do better for yourself tomorrow and to do better by yourself in the present moment. This has been another week of expecting better, doing better, and believing better. Remember, there's nobody else better than you to live out the dreams you have so tenaciously planned for yourself. We'll be back next week for another round of Self-Care Sundays. Remember, life is hard, but self-care doesn't have to be. This has been another round of The Expect Effect.